Future's now, old man.
What to do? Future First podcast here with the Week 5 debrief. Jose, what's going on tonight, man?
What's up, man? I'm good. Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I had an up and down fantasy week. Not the best. I lost some really close matchups, and it hurt. It hurt. How about you?
Yeah, man. Overall, pretty good. I mean, it's a lot of leagues to kind of even count, wins and losses too much, but the main ones, we're still plugging away, losing, players left and right in a particular league. I think I have about it's a dynasty league. I think I have five IR players right now, and mix in on pup, which is basically IR. So pretty much six IR with three or four of them being pretty relevant. So but I mean, still top of the league, most points for. So we're just churning away.
Dang.
Got to churn the bottom of that roster. But yeah, man, it was a pretty roller coaster, right? I mean, biggest injury I know we're gonna get into talking about, but Hampton, right? Started
Yeah.
out bad, got real good, and then it's now real bad again. So that's pretty brutal. He was a big piece in that team specifically, but yeah, man. Any of these injuries hit your lineups?
Yeah, I mean that one hit me hard. I did want to talk about one thing though. I don't know if you caught wind of it or not, but I did make a trade in Clan. I made a big move. I traded I had two 26 firsts, and I traded both of them to get Jonathan Taylor. I threw in Ayuk, and I also got Kelsey back. So it's two firsts, Ayuk, and I got Kelsey and Jonathan Taylor. And those two players helped me win the week, going up against the reigning champ and McGrumble. So I felt good about that move. It's keeping me alive going there because Derrick Henry is sure not cutting it for me in that running back position.
Yeah, I feel that in Tokeland and in a lot of places, honestly, with Henry. It's not looking great, especially without Lamar. And as soon as they're down, you probably much can count out Derrick Henry's fantasy, output unless maybe they get to the one. And even then, this year he just hasn't looked strong. He hasn't looked like Derrick Henry. There was that one game I can't remember a couple weeks ago. They gave him the ball three times, four times at the goal line. They had like seven chances, and he could just not run one guy over to get into the end zone. I mean, professional athletes on the other side, but if you would have asked me, before the season, one guy at the 1 yard line besides the tush push, who would I give the ball to? I think Derrick Henry would be on the top of a lot of
Mm.
people's list, and it's not looked the same, man. Maybe finally Father Time is catching up, but yeah, man, that's really savvy. No, I hadn't caught wind of that, but that's the big move. I mean, you might have just acquired the running back one on the season for this year, so that's a big piece to get.
Yeah, Fox was she paid two first for him leading into the season. Like literally like 10 minutes before kickoff of week one, she dropped the two first for JT. She's like, I'm all in. And then, I think she was 2-6 at the end of week four. And so she was like, man, someone come get JT off my hands. And I was like, hey, if you're serious, like, so I don't know. Seemed like a good move. But yeah, the Hampton one, his injury hurt a lot. I had him, in the Megalo Bowl. I think I've talked about it on here. I pushed all in on him and traded two firsts for him in one league. That league is not going well. I'm pivoting now. I don't have my first for the next 2 years. I still have a good young core of Jefferson, Nico, Lamar, Hampton, and some other guys on there too. But I'm selling off all the old vets that are producing. Like I sold Debo for a second, trying to get rid of Matt Stafford. I got Tony Pollard on that squad. I'm just trying to offload those kind of guys and salvage what I can. Just didn't bounce my way in that league, and Hampton was kind of the nail in the coffin, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have too much Hampton besides that one league in a Megalo Bowl. Same, I had him, but I actually was getting tired of him, so I sold early, and then I was feeling horrible because I think I traded him
Mm.
for Brees Hall and some other flex play. And now I guess I feel good about it again. But it
Yeah.
is what it is, man. These injuries have been brutal. A lot of the older guys getting hurt, Connor, Hill, Evans. So I mean that's the way fantasy goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, you brought up.
I was gonna say,
No,
well, I
no, go
think we're
ahead.
on a little bit of a lag here. Sorry. I was gonna say I got Rico Dowdled in many places this week. That didn't
No.
feel very good, especially in one of them where I had Chuba on my roster, and they for some reason drafted Rico Dowdle, had him stashed in a 10-team league, and then started him against me, and beat me by about 10 points. So that was brutal, but hey, good on Rico Dowdle. I'm glad Rico Suave can get in there and be relevant. He was definitely one of the studs on the week here. Um, yeah, man, I have a lot of tough beats this week, so you're gonna catch a lot of that. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's all good, man. It comes in waves, right? Some weeks you got the good, and the next weeks you get the bad. We
Yeah,
had our own
for sure.
personal little bad beat. I think we lost by less than a point, well, 1.5 points, I think it was.
Yeah, that was rough. Yeah,
We,
just we needed one more catch out of Travis Kelce or a pass out of Mahomes. It didn't happen, but yeah, man, let's get to some of these guys who kind of boomed on the week. CJ Stroud had a really big week. Dak Prescott also. Sam Darnold. That game between Seattle and Tampa Bay was wild. Just a big back and forth battle. Like Buka got involved in a big way. Yeah, and I don't know, man. Maybe the selling on Agbuka was a little bit premature, but I think that there's still time where that script can flip. Especially if Evans comes back. But yeah, I don't. They need him, and they're using him pretty heavily.
yeah, I mean, I think this is just for Dynasty, all the reassurance that's definitely where you want to be holding,
For sure.
because I think this is what it looks like maybe uh, as soon as next year, right? Like as soon as next year, maybe Evans is gone, retires, who knows? But you're looking at, I think in redraft, you're still looking at if you can tier up wide receivers. Yeah, man. I mean, Rico Suave, you got Uncle Rico running backs there. In terms of quarterbacks, too, I mean, Stafford might be having his best fan. He's always been really great for his wide receiver ones that as we've talked about, but he might be having his best fantasy year ever, to be honest, if he
Yeah.
continues. I mean, this week he plays the horrible Ravens defense, who Stroud just carved up. I see no reason why Stafford can't do the same or even more. So, he was another one of the top end quarterbacks, and I think if you have him in redraft, I'd continue to ride this Stafford train. I mean, it's looking very very profitable right now. If you picked him up off waivers or to stream, now he's putting up 30 plus points back to back weeks, and I think he could do it. He's going to do it again this week.
Yeah, that's where I was at in a couple leagues. I picked him up to stream him, and I think I might just stash him, and keep him going. Yeah, man, Stafford looks great. I'm happy about that. I wanted to talk about the Kansas City and Jacksonville game. That was a good game. But man, is Jacksonville like the most fraudulent team in the NFL right now? Like it just feels like they keep lucking their way into someone's literally stumbled into a win. He fell into the end zone to get the win, and it's just I don't know. It just feels backwards. Like when they beat the Niners, it felt fluky, and now they just beat the Chiefs, and I don't know, man. I can't buy in on the Jags and what they're doing. But it was nice to see Travis Hunter going. BTJ came to life a little bit. Still no touchdowns, but I think he still had what 7 catches or something like that. Um, yeah, ETN had a quiet week, but what do you think about the Jags and that game in general?
In a pinch. you feel pretty good. But besides that, like all the other pieces, you don't really feel great. I mean, it was nice to see Travis Hunter and BTJ catch some passes and do something, but still, it wasn't a great fantasy output, a fantasy
Yeah.
finish. But on the other side, Mahomes has been quite the revelation, I think, in terms of a quarterback. I mean, he's running a lot,
Yeah.
big runs. He's using his legs,
The
and he's
leading
playing very
rusher.
well. I mean, yeah, wild, wild. But in terms of like them, the AFC picture, right? Just talking about normal, regular NFL football, not fantasy, but it's pretty wild. I mean, you got the Ravens out of it. You have technically the Chiefs right now wouldn't be in the playoffs. Like it's pretty surprising. But yeah, in terms of our Duval friends out there in Florida, it does feel very, very fragile. But I mean, sometimes those teams, all they need to do is to get the wins and stack those wins, and who knows, right? Maybe they figure something out. But it definitely feels kind of like the Cardinals from a few years ago that were undefeated, and then I think they got. Or was it the Panthers? I don't remember. It was a team, and you're just like, why is this team the undefeated team? And then very quickly, halfway through the season, they came back down to earth. But I mean, good for them. I mean, it
Yeah.
stops them from getting fired, which is bad for fantasy, right? Like I think we want to see that coach go, the
Yeah.
offensive coordinator out there. But like you said, literally stumbled into a win while Chris Jones was, thinking about what he was going to have for dinner. Man, I don't know. It's crazy to see a guy that gets paid that much money, that's can be that good, just have that type of film. Like I don't know what they say in meetings. Maybe they don't even address it, but that was one of the wildest things when that hit the Twitter or the X sphere after the game. Man, that was something.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look, that's for sure. Um, yeah, and we had some other, pop-offs guys, like, Jamar Chase had a big week in garbage time. I think now might be the time if you were looking to get on him, to try and sell on those two touchdowns. We were already kind of talking about that last week. Are you still in step with that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's an interesting. Like, do you think anything gets better with Flacco there now? I mean,
Oh yeah,
presumably
that's
they
big
trade for
news.
Flacco to start him. I would imagine. I mean, I don't I don't know how much I care too much. I mean, he looked like a complete statue in the pocket, and he's probably going to be behind an even worse offensive line. I guess the only thing is you trust Flacco's ability to make a throw and just wing the ball down the field to Chase more than Browning. I mean, those picks were horrible. They were just complete up in the air to the defense that Browning was throwing. So I'm not sure if maybe Flacco is a little bit better in that situation, right? But otherwise, yeah, I think this is a time like you could definitely sell now. You could sell somebody on the fact, look, he could still score. It was Browning, the team is
Hmm.
horrible. Look, he can still score 20 points, like and move off Chase. I would still be in that camp, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how much Flacco changes it, like you said, you have a little bit more accurate of a passer and a little more veteran presence, but just less mobile, which is not helpful behind that offensive line. Like I feel like, with Joe Flacco, heard he got traded to the Bengals, he's probably like, oh man, I'm gonna die. Like, like this
Yeah.
is not good. Um, I don't know. I think it is what it is. Like if I can sell Chase high off of this, I'm doing it. But if no one's giving me anything of worth, then I'm just gonna hold and try to ride it out and see what comes of it. Yeah, and then we had some other guys come up like Diggs. Is he healthy? Is he back? Or was that just kind of the revenge narrative and he asked for the ball and got fed?
Yeah, I mean, they won and they beat a good division rival, and Diggs was featured. I mean, even if he's not, I mean, we'd expect him to be getting healthier as the season went on. So I think this kind of tracks with what, at least his health. And they won and they beat a big division rival, right? And Drake May looked very good throwing to Diggs. So I mean, just in terms of game plan, in terms of what you saw on the field, I don't see how you don't continue to try to get Diggs the ball. I mean, he clearly looks like he's still has the ability. He still has got the hands. He still can run the routes even after these injuries and his age. So, I mean, in terms of who commands targets in that wide receiver room or just in general, nobody else really should besides Diggs, right? Like none of the guys have really done anything. We've gotten a little bit of flash of booty, but that's about it. And then just one more thing on the Bengals. I think the only thing that does change a little bit for me is my Chase Brown outlook. Like you probably couldn't sell, even though we were saying to sell that much, but Flacco had a pretty high dump off rate. Targeting the running backs, he was doing that quite often. So maybe that helps Chase Brown in at least PPR formats to get a little bit of a boost and maybe see some better days there with just a ton of quick dump offs before Flacco gets killed. But yeah, I mean Diggs. I think it's on the up, right? Like I think that's definitely a player that could be pretty interesting down the line here for the redraft. Drake May looks good. The Patriots are looking pretty good, so definitely a guy that if you can go out and get, be acquiring. But definitely, I think there's better days or continued good days to come with him and the Patriots.
Yeah, I had a bit of him in redraft, but unfortunately, like I had dropped him over in these past 5 weeks. I still have a
Right.
little bit of him in on my contending squads, but I got one more receiver I want to ask you about, who's near and dear to your heart, and that's Ryan Flournoy. And I want to know what's real there. Was that just Jalen Tolbert being out and him stepping up in that role, or is this someone who's gonna carve out a role for himself?
Yeah, I mean, it's all, relative to the CeeDee Lamb injury, right? I do think that he's
Yeah.
more talented, and the camp buzz and when they drafted him, I think he was kind of supposed to be that wide receiver 3 or 2 if they never went out and got Pickens. I think he's coming, and you see the physical traits. I think, right, he has just more, right? He can provide you more than Turpin. Turpin's the gadget guy. Tolbert is nothing special in terms of NFL talent. Flournoy is not either, but he's at least I think just a little bit has a little bit more flash. So I
Mhm.
think he's definitely a guy that if by apocalypse is kind of happening. There's a lot of injuries. If he's a guy you get off the waiver wire, kind of cheap. I'm not throwing crazy fab for, but if you can pick him up, he's definitely a guy I wouldn't mind flexing. I mean, going against Carolina this week, I think Dak will have another good game. Pickens is going to get his, but I think there's definitely a spot for Flournoy and Fergie. And I mean, the way Dak is playing, you feel pretty
Mhm.
confident that he's going to, prop up a tight end 1, a wide receiver 1 to 2, and then another tangential piece like a Flournoy. So I would be
Yeah.
okay. I mean, in comparison to like some of these other guys like Romeo Dobbs or Keyshawn Booty or, some of these guys you might have to be flexing in deeper leagues or 12-man leagues because you got, players on bye and injuries. I think he's a decent shout, right? Like I also think the Panthers will do decent to score some points on the Cowboys to keep Dak throwing the ball. So yeah, I think he's interesting for the next week or two. I think CD's probably back after 2 weeks. Not after the week after this, I think is probably when he's coming back. I mean, otherwise it just made no sense to not put him on IR from a squad building, like,
Right.
NFL status type of thing. So yeah, he's interesting in that regard. I mean, you saw it, he can get open and
Yeah.
Dak, is playing well enough to get him the ball. So
Yeah, I stashed him. I think I talked about it like when CD went down, how I stashed him in that really deep league, and I don't know if anything will come out of it, but it's nice that I don't have to spend the fab that people would have spent on him right now, and I think I'm putting him on my best ball squads, just as whatever I'm turning the bottom spots of those roster anyway. Maybe he can fill a flex spot for me in these next couple weeks, like you're saying. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to move in. We had a big week for tight ends here, and it wasn't the tight ends that you would think that we would have. I mean, Jake Ferguson was up there, but Sam Laporta had a big week. Darren Waller again going off. That's Fox's guy right there. I'm sure she's happy about that. But yes, I mean, we had some big performances from some other guys who are making big names for themselves, like AJ Barner, Theo Johnson. I think we even had Jake Tongas, who's looking like a league winner if you could have got him off the waivers in week 1 or 2. And yeah, and then Mason Taylor stepping up and being that guy too. You have any thoughts on any of these guys, or how are you attacking tight end in general this year?
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have an elite, which I mean, I guess the elite of the elite Bowers is now hurt, so you're pretty feeling pretty bad if you were in redraft drafting him. But yeah, I think the guys that stand out the most, who I think it's not just one of these like, oh, they caught 2 touchdowns or they caught a touchdown and only like 4 other passes, because tight ends can spike. It's easier,
Yeah,
right, to stand out in the tight end room when it's not that many elite players. But Darren Waller and oh man, you said his name and I completely
AJ
blanked.
Barner,
But
Theo
uh,
Theo
uh,
Johnson.
yeah, there you go, AJ Barner. Those I think are the guys that I'm kind of looking at, and thinking maybe they have some kind of more continued startable weeks down the line. AJ Barner continues to have a decent role. Sam Darnold's playing quite well. That offense is looking good, and Darren Waller is just a necessity, right? Like whether we think really he's what going back to Raider days or whatever, or Giant days,
Yeah.
like he just seems like a guy that is open for Tua when he needs him. And I don't think it's just going to be touchdowns. I think he's going to continue to get more and more target share. That offense desperately needs something else besides Waddle and Achan. And I think he's clearly that guy. So those are two guys that are definitely interested. Tong is, like you said, for the 49ers, but it seems like maybe you got maybe just one more week. It seems like Kittle, right? They're saying week 7 is kind of the target to come back. So I mean, if anything, all that makes you feel is like if Tongas, who's a guy that literally maybe besides 49ers fans knew about, can do what he's doing in that offense, it kind of, I think, reassures what everybody was thinking about Kittle in this offense when he comes back, right? If he's healthy, if he's able to stay healthy, I think you have an elite weapon there with Kittle, and should be very good for if you've been having him on your IR, because if Tongas is he's a guy, but Kittle's a bona fide superstar in the league. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, kind of a little side tangent. We didn't talk about too much after the 49ers big win, but are you pounding the table for Mac Jones to take the job here, or no? I
No,
didn't think
absolutely
so. I
not.
mean, man, I went to the barber over the weekend, and the main barber guy, he's a big 49ers fan, and he was in there talking to another guy. They're casual, like football fans, but they were talking about it. They're like, oh, is Purdy going to get his job back? Like, what, like they kind of going back and forth. But I mean, they paid Purdy at this point, no matter how
Yeah.
much Shanahan loves Mac Jones. I don't think he can sit him down.
No, yeah, it's weird, man. My brother-in-law hit me up, and it was after Purdy started last week, and he's like, "Man, what was that? Purdy looks so bad." And I'm like, "Dude, he's hurt. Like he doesn't have any of his receivers or offense." And then Mac Jones comes in and lights it up, and yeah. So I think you just have this recency bias of this compare and contrast. And now people think that Mac Jones is the guy, and it's like, no, it's not. It's not what it is. This offense is just efficient. And in fact, that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about on Tungus, is when Kittle goes out, there's always a tight end that steps up. I think like 2 or 3 years ago, Kittle was hurt, and I don't even remember who it was. But a tight end stepped up and was relevant for fantasy. It wasn't like this because the injuries weren't as prevalent. We still had Debo, to kind of feed the ball to. So, but Tongas has stepped up in a big way, and I think this is just kind of a lesson to learn when it comes to the 49ers, because they're often injured. When they do get injured, like the offense is just efficient. They're gonna operate. You're gonna want the pieces, whoever's there. Pick up the Kendrick Bournes, pick up the Tongases, whoever's going to be getting the ball, you want them on your team because they're going to be relevant and scoring you points. Yeah, and then on the other side of things, I think you talked about it a little bit too with Brock Bowers being hurt, and Trey McBride has been kind of a big disappointment this year. These top end tight ends that we thought we were going to get haven't hit for one way or another, and I felt it quite a bit. I mean, I have Bowers and Toe Clan. I drafted Bowers in a couple startups where there was really high tight end premiums. Same with McBride. I took McBride in my keeper league this year in the second round, and I'm really regretting kind of those picks right now. Those teams aren't doing so hot. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think Bowers is going to get healthy and bounce back this year? Like, where do you think Trey McBride stands in that Cardinals offense? Like, how are you kind of viewing those top end assets now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so worried about McBride. I think it was what, like one kind of down game. I mean, you're definitely not getting the elite target share from McBride that you did. I mean, they're definitely trying to get what they need out of Marvin Harrison, so you're definitely seeing the ball kind of go to him. But I mean, I've had him, but he's felt okay, but it hasn't been as elite as you'd want. Bowers, you're just kind of wishing that they would have just shut him down when the injury happened instead of letting him play through, right? Like if he was on IR the last 3 weeks and then he missed this one instead of having like those two dud games because he was hurt and then not practicing, like you would have just felt better knowing like, okay, I need to find somebody instead of continuing to play, Bowers when he was hurt, right? But I think from what it seems like, the injury should be mild, that he should return to form. So if you've been able to survive or stream Tongas, or you picked up Darren Waller when he made his appearance, like you should be okay. I think he'll return to kind of that elite asset, because I mean, Gino has looked pretty bad without him. I mean, that offense, we had the Genti blow up game, and then Genti kind of came back down to earth, looked okay still, but they need him, right? That offense need him. It doesn't really have a true guy to command the targets. So I think once he comes back, and if they let him be fully healthy, he'll be fine. I think he'll still, be a guy you want to start and play week to week. But it's just going to take some time, and you just wish they had gone about his injury differently.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Yeah, and I think that's the right move. Like, I don't know. I am kind of worried though. Like, because they played him when they probably should have sat him, and maybe not for the long run, but at least for this season. What is Brock Bowers for you, and what is he going to be able to do for you, later down the season? Hopefully he can get healthy by playoffs, and if you can make it to the playoffs by then. Yeah, I just don't see him being a helpful asset to you in the next couple weeks at the very least. And I'm hoping, it ends there, and maybe Geno Smith can kind of turn things around and get that offense moving in the right direction. But yeah, it's definitely been a weird season thus far, with a lot of surprises. Like we have the Colts doing well. We got the Broncos leading the AFC West. You got Detroit bouncing back without their coordinators. New England is hanging around in their division. It's Jacksonville is somehow winning. It's been a weird narrative so far. And we're on to the next week here in week 6. I don't know if you have any games that you're excited to look at, or if you know what games are coming up. But yeah, how you feeling about going forward?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of wild because you wait. I mean, if you're playing Dynasty, I guess you kind of get you wet your beak through the off season. But the
Hmm.
off season for football, for fantasy, is so long, and then it comes through, and it's like 5 weeks have already gone, right? Like fantasy season wise, you're talking about a third of the season, right? Most playoff teams or playoffs for leagues are starting on week 15. So we're getting into the real heart of the season. I think we have a lot of good data and some of those surprising things, like kind of the whole what our whole episode was the other day. You got to kind of get over and just adjust to the new normal. Like I don't think of the Colts anymore as like a surprise. Now the Colts are just good. Like
Yeah.
I don't think there's really much more that you can say. They're just a good team, and they're looking like a good AFC team. The Ravens may just, and not for fantasy, but for the NFL purposes, because of all their injuries, the Ravens just might be a bad team this year. Like sometimes there's just like in fantasy, in the NFL, there's too many injuries to overcome, and their defense seems completely decimated. Um, Same with the Chargers. Like and this is for fantasy. I think going forward, you might need to temper expectations a little bit for the Chargers. I mean, we were talking about Herbert MVP, but when you lose, I think it's 3/5 of your starting O line,
Yeah.
including both tackles for the season, and those are like all pro, like real good players. When Hampton, and now you've lost Hampton. I think you temper expectations when Hampton comes back. He's coming back from injury, running behind three backups, and uh, her same for Herbert. I think passing weapons as well. QJ, Allen, Lad.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to reevaluate. Like you were really excited for QJ and Allen, and we were kind of talking about the bounce back for Lad, but I think you gotta maybe temper that as well because Herbert's not going to have nearly as much time to throw. So I mean, those are real NFL things that I think our episode this week coming up is going to kind of look at some of these things and some of our future ideas for dynasty of buying and selling. But you have to adjust to the new normal, right? This is the new normal of the NFL, and it changes drastically things for for fantasy. So but yeah, man, you got the games pulled up there. Is there anything that you're particularly excited about coming up?
I am, but I wanted to touch on, kind of those keeping your pulse on these situations and what can be buys. You're talking about the Chargers, and I think Lad is going to be a pretty strong buy in the offseason, especially if this offense continues to kind of sputter. Um, people, he didn't have a good season, so the box score is going to show him being really low. On top of that, the recency bias of him being good will be gone. We'll have a whole new season of information in our brains, and we'll forget all about that. And Lad will still be the same talented guy that was really hindered by a Keenan Allen stealing a lot of the work, and then also just an offense that didn't do well. I love looking for exact scenarios like this of where you can explain why a guy was bad, even though he's talented, and buying into them. You can do this with, like with JSN in his rookie season. He had that wrist injury coming in, the first like 6 weeks of the year, and then he, was stuck behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and it's just an easy way to kind of find value in talented players. I love doing that, and it's usually on injury. But this lad to me is just gonna be a screaming buy. Keenan, if Keenan's there next year, then so be it. But it'll be another year older, and I'll just bet on Lad going into it. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, or if you wanted me just to dive into these games here real quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I need to like reassess my thoughts on Lad. When I hear that, I'm like, but what do I really think Lad is in terms of like a wide receiver in Dynasty and what his skill set is? It's like, I guess it's just not an exciting, or for me, it's not an exciting name. It's not like you
Hmm.
taught me JSN, and I'm like, okay, you say Odunze, and I can see the paths to like a real relevant fantasy player, and just like maybe the skill set or maybe how Lad scores points is not doesn't draw me, but maybe it should, right? Maybe that's just a take I'm stuck on where I don't see Lad as even he's. I mean, you always want to look for screaming value, but I just don't see the high ceiling, and I think that might just be my own like bias, I guess you could call it, or just take lock, like we've talked about. So it's definitely something for me, like myself, to assess and kind of wrap my head around, what he is for fantasy.
No, I think that's really fair. I don't think he's like a top five, maybe even a top 10 wide receiver, but I do kind of throw him in that bucket with like a T Higgins or a Devonta Smith or or Jameson Williams, or I think now you can throw George Pickens in that bucket, and of these guys that are just going to be solid fantasy producers. There may be a little more boom bust, but they're still going to end up in the top 24 a lot of the times, and they can spike to get into those top 12, top 15. I think that's kind of where Lad's going to settle in for his career. But I mean, if you can buy him at the end of the season for wide receiver 24 to 30 prices, I think that's a worthwhile buy to get into. Is kind of how I see it going. But yeah, I agree. Like, he's just not, that super sexy name that you're looking for when you think about these top end wide receivers. And then yeah, as far as like games that I'm excited for coming up, this San Francisco Tampa Bay game, um, I don't even know what to expect anymore from San Francisco. I've gone in the past 2 weeks just like expecting to get obliterated, and we're just hanging around. I think if Brock Purdy comes back and is healthy this game, and we can get Pearsall and Jennings out there too, I think we can probably make that a game. Um, we'll probably lose it. I don't know. I'm going in expecting to lose it, but our defense has been playing lights out in absence of Bosa, and yeah, I think a lot of that can be attributed to Salah. So I'm looking forward to that one. Um, the Lions and Chiefs. I don't know. I feel like that'll probably be a good game. I think that Mahomes will probably be pushed to throw the ball, and that could be a good one. Um, yeah, outside of that, man, like I'm not super stoked for a lot of these games here. Rams, Ravens, like potentially. I don't know, man. It's hard without Lamar going on there. What do you see on here that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would have been a marquee matchup, but I haven't heard. But I mean, you're getting into a situation with the Ravens where, like, if they right, the Texans was like, "Woof, maybe they lose, maybe they don't," but they did lose. Now you lose potentially to the Rams, right? If you don't have Lamar and your defense is what it is, like Puka might go like one of those historic like 150, 3 tutty type of games. Devontae Adams might also be like it could be only stopping the scoring once the Rams decide to pull their players. But yeah, I mean, in terms of kind of one of these like games that you would anticipate, like the Chargers, Miami. I mean, Miami's kind of turning it around. The Chargers don't look as dominant. That could be one of that like kind of gets into a bit of a shootout more than we think. And then
Hmm.
I kind of like to look sometimes for these bad teams that play each other because then it's just like a suck fest, but the offenses tend to do well. So maybe Cam Ward can get something going with Tennessee against that horrible Vegas team, and then same thing for Vegas. They both defenses are just real bad. So maybe that could be, or it ends up like 3-9, and nobody scores any fantasy points. It could also be that. But yeah, man, I think those are pretty much it. I mean, if you scroll up a little bit, we're looking at it here. The games you're on your screen. Yeah, Seattle, Jacksonville. Like if I mean, Seattle has shown that they can put up points if the opponent also puts up points. So maybe if Jacksonville just continues to luck their way into scoring points, that should be good for Seattle to also Darnold to continue his thing. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, you probably were loving it in terms of your little side quest bet for the 49ers. That Seattle lost that game against Tampa Bay.
Hey
So
man, the entire
and you guys
NFC
got
lost except for the Niners. That was
yeah,
it was a good week for real fantasy. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to a couple of running back matchups. The Giants are really bad against running backs, and Saquon has a juicy matchup. I also like the Bears are really bad for running backs, so I think Bill could have a big week. And then also the Bills are quietly pretty bad against running backs, especially pass catching ones. So that'll be interesting to see what Bajan can do in that matchup. I think it'll be a week of big running back performances here. It's kind of how I'm anticipating it going out.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Barkley plays. I mean, missing. I didn't see the practice report for today. I know yesterday he was on the injury report, so I didn't see what happened today. I didn't see too many people freaking out, so it's probably okay.
Yeah,
And yeah, man, let's hope for it. I mean, the running backs have been, I think, really up and down, right? Like you've had
yeah.
some of the top end guys, but you have James Cook coming off a bad game.
Hmm.
Barkley's kind of been quiet. Henry. I mean, that's I think that's going to be another brutal one for Henry. I mean, I would imagine they
Yeah.
get down pretty early. The Rams defense, well, I mean, the Rams defense is supposed to be good, but we just saw what happened. So who knows? But I mean, the moment they go down 2 touchdowns, Henry's probably barely seeing the field. So it could be another rough Henry outing there.
Yeah, man. I'm not looking forward to that. But yeah, we're past half an hour here. So let's wrap this up. Let's get us on out of here. And we'll see you guys. We got another episode dropping Monday. We're gonna talk about some top buys for contending teams and also top buys for rebuilding teams. We'll kind of give you guys our takes there and what we're thinking and how we're seeing kind of the landscape shaking out. But yeah, Jose, man, thanks again. Jumping on, always a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to more of these. But yeah, why don't you say bye to everybody for us?
Yeah, guys, thank you for listening. Like always, comment, subscribe, like, do all the things. We appreciate all the support, all the love, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. And yeah, like, subscribe, and if you can, drop us a comment. We love engaging with you guys. Happy week 6. Good luck on your waivers, and we'll catch you guys on